The ongoing government shutdown is leaving workers without paychecks. Among those workers, TSA officers and air traffic controllers. Well, how about that impact your travel plans? Eric Napoli is the chief legal officer at AirHelp, a global leader in air passenger rights. He's here today. Good morning to you, Eric. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, how's the shutdown affecting airline operations right now? Is there a specific part of the country that's worse impacted, I should say, than others?
Well, I mean, so first of all, we have had a lot of weather, right? We've had weather we're seeing now up and down the East Coast, and that affects flights. And then we are seeing already say outside of DCA in Washington, we've seen the impact since, the tragic accident in January. And now with the shutdown, um, there are lots of air traffic controllers and TSA guys who are calling in sick. So I don't think it's a specific area in the country, but we're seeing it felt everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Eric, we were talking months ago when we had our issues in Newark, here in our airport. We were talking about the crisis that we had already. I mean, these guys, they are severely short-staffed. They're working with ancient equipment. They get paid good money, but you know what? There's not enough money in the world to be working every day for 18 hours or 12 hours. And I mean, that is, I shouldn't say 18, but some of them are working double shift. They're working 12-hour shifts or whatever. And they forfeit vacation. They work on days off. These people, it's a grueling life. And again, this isn't just like if they look away, they're pumping gas and the car driver will go away. They got thousands of lives in their hands. So this is essential and this is tough. And these workers, because they're essential, they're working without pay in many cases. So what kind of impact could that potentially have on safety?
Well, so I mean, there'll be there's impact on safety. Then generally, we've already seen the impact with Newark. We saw the impact in DCA. We have seen airlines have reported at least at the beginning of the year that the ticket sales were down because people had lost confidence in traveling. I mean, traveling is already kind of nerve-wracking enough. You have all the long waits, you have the long lines, turbulence, all these other things. So the impact is huge. Um, there's a huge group of air traffic controllers who are getting to the point of retirement. So there is something that needs to be done. We have seen the DOJ, in their defense, looking into kind of a technology upgrade, right? Because there are technologies out there to improve all aspects of, say, airport operations. One of which is air traffic control. But we saw in 2018, one of the things that stopped the shutdown was the risk to air traffic because if we can't fly. The economy of every local economy is affected, and we have Thanksgiving coming up. So politics aside, does anybody think that we can reach Thanksgiving and not have flights?
No, no, you nailed it. You're 100% right. And we forget, you mentioned like the economy, the cargo, how much of our cargo is transported on giant jets? You see those big cargo flights, they tend to fly in the middle of the night, not to interrupt the daytime passengers and whatnot. This is essential and they got to get it right. And with AI, we use AI to write books. I'm sure AI could be properly programmed to help the air traffic controllers, or at least to monitor a bunch of flights to help take the burden off a lot of these air traffic controllers. I hope they figure it out and figure it out fast. And these people deserve their paychecks. So the stalemate in Washington is just unnecessary and ridiculous. Now, in terms of rights, passengers do have some legal rights here when it comes to delays or cancellations with the shutdown. So please talk about that, Eric.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, U.S. passengers don't have that many rights. If you're flying to and from Europe, the European laws do protect passengers if there's a flight that's delayed for 3 or more hours and it's the fault of the airline. Then passengers are entitled to certain compensation. Fortunately, again, in the US, you're flying domestically. Your same airline, you're flying Paris to Newark, your same airline that will pay you, 600, $700, on a US flight, they just won't do it for you. So that's a shame. And hopefully the DOJ or Trump administration will say, well, let's treat passengers fairly, in the US like we do when they're flying abroad. But right now, what you can do, you can go to the DOJ website and you can see they have a dashboard and you can see what airlines offer, outside of the law, right? What they offer kind of contractually to passengers. Generally, airlines, I mean, just for their own interest, they don't want to have a huge backlog of flight cancellations and trying to fit, it's Tetrix, trying to fit passengers onto the next flight. So airlines will do their best to try to get you on the next flight. I mean, this also is something outside of their control. So they're suffering just as you are. They want you to, you know, they want you home for Thanksgiving. So,
Mm.
so you can check if a flight is canceled. You do now have, under new rules, you do now have a right for a refund. Or if the schedule's changed and that's, new schedule is going to be very, very different, then you do have a right to cash refund if you don't want to take that flight. You don't want to get a voucher. So
Interesting.
consider that if yeah. So if that flight is no longer interesting for you, don't accept the voucher. Ask for your money.
Yeah, there are a lot of rules involved with vouchers, right? They tell you, there are a lot of blackout dates, and you can't fly with this, and you can't fly. I mean, I was offered a voucher on one of the budget airlines once. They said, we overbooked, et cetera. If you'll take a voucher, we'll put you on the next flight, and you could use this voucher at any time. And somebody said, "Don't take it," and they said, "There's so many restrictions on it, it's not worth the paper it's printed on." So, yeah, I the cash idea is definitely better. Cash in hand, cash is king, right?
Yes,
Well,
man.
until the shutdown ends, Eric, what steps should travelers take before they fly? Should they make sure they get travel insurance, or what should they do?
Well, you can get travel insurance. I mean, that's an option. I mean, one thing I would do is, avoid connecting flights, right? Avoid, having
Hmm.
flights that have lots of connections because that's most likely where you have the issues. Prepare, arrive early, take the first flight. It's like the dentist. Your
Hmm.
first appointment's the one that's not going to be delayed, and then just recognize it's not anybody's fault. Complain to people in Washington, but don't complain, to the desk agent. There's nothing that they can do. So go with a lot of patience and just be ready. Just be ready.
Yeah, you know what always works, Eric? I find always say these words to somebody when you got 500 people behind you. Do you know who I am?
Exactly, exactly.
If you want to make them chuckle, just try that. Now, you know what? You're right. And by the way, if you just hack that attitude back here, you treat these people working at the gates, they make 80,000, 70,000. They're struggling, they're working, they got to feed families. Treat them with respect. If you just this much kindness goes very far. It's all about respect. Am I wrong?
You're 100% correct.
That's it. They're it's not that person's fault that the flight is canceled. So no matter how much you want to take it out on them. So we definitely need you back on, especially if the government remains shut down. What's a website for more information, please?
So come to airhelp.com. We can give you lots of information about what your rights are. If you do have a delayed flight, we'll help you out to see if you can get some money from the airline, or figure out how to
AirHelp.com.
rebut. Airhelp.com.
Awesome. AirHelp.com. AirHelp.com. Eric Napoli, Chief Legal Officer at AirHelp. We appreciate you coming on. I know you're busy, and we thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. We're here to help.
I appreciate that. Thank you.